So this tutorial is regarding the segmentation of anatomy, right? So the first step is that you start your software. Once you start your software, this is the interface that comes in, right? This is your mimics interface, right? The first thing that you do is you initiate or start a new project. That is, you have to import your DICOM files. For that, you will select new project, right? Now we will select the DICOM file we would want to work with. So this is the DICOM file I want to work with. I've selected the folder. Click on next. So the DICOM file will be loaded. So once it's loaded, the import wizard will look something like this. All the sequences that were part of the DICOM folder can be visible in the image checkbox. They can also be seen in the list view here, right now where I'm scrolling in. You can select, okay, coming to the preview window here, the preview, DICOM tags, grouping and log is for you to understand the properties, the acquisition, like the slice thickness, the image resolution, and the different other properties of the scan, right? Uh, Based on the acquisition and the properties, you can select your required sequence. I'm going to select the first sequence, so I'm unchecking all the remaining. So I have my first sequence set. I'm going to now click on open. So what that does is now it is loading the files into the system or into the software. So once the files is completely loaded, you can see the axial, coronal and sagittal images. So, so here it is, axial, coronal, sagittal, axial demarcated in red, coronal demarcated in orange, sagittal demarcated in green, right? As you can see, these three windows indicate your DICOM viewer. The white background here, the window at the right corner, right bottom corner, indicates a 3D view. So all the 3D reconstructions that we will generate will be visible in this white window. These are the different tools that are available, right? To increase the screen size, you can click here, expand screen option, full screen option, and click on any view. You will get a expand option, right? Then again you can unclick that and the screen minimizes, right? So again, the first thing that we'll now do is we would want to first read the scan, right? Once we have read the scan and from therein we have realized that we want to isolate, say, the maxilla and the mandible as two different components, what we'll have to do is we'll have to first create a mask. For isolating any anatomy from the scan, mask creation is essential. Now the mask template is there in the project management tab, right? So under the project management tab, you will have mask. The other way to create a mask is from the segment menu and through the new mask option, right? So I'm going to create a new mask. I am going to from so you have predefined thresholds here. So one is a bone, soft tissue. So when I click soft tissue, you see everything other than the bone is covered. So right now, since I want to isolate the bone, I'm going to select the bone. I'm going to select fill holes. I would want to, if you see clearly, the bed region has been incorporated in my mask, right? Anything that is highlighted in green color, as you can see, we are creating, if you see in the mask, we are creating a green mask here. So anything that is highlighted in green in this scan will come as a green, will come as a part of the green mask. So what we are going to do is we are going to eliminate all these parts. We don't need this region, right? We're again going to decrease, right, from all directions. But it's important to know that when you're decreasing your boundaries from all directions, it's important to check in all the views, because right now if we see, we have eliminated a part of it, right? I want it to be somewhere like here. Again, I would want this to come down here, right? Now I'm going to just scroll through these different views. Once I am okay with it, I'm going to click OK. So a combined mask of the maxilla and mandible will be created, right? I'm now going to calculate this part. So when I would want to convert my 2D mask into a 3D model, I'll always use the option of calculate part. So calculate part can be accessed from two regions. One is under the mask project management, you will have different multiple options, shortcuts as we say. Therein, you can use the calculate icon to calculate a part, or in the segment menu, in the right cornermost region, you will have calculate option. There you can select that and click OK. So it says that the green mask had multiple parts. I'll let you know why. When we see the parts, we'll realize that, you know, different section of the anatomy has been incorporated. So if we see, small fragments have been incorporated. So now we want to eliminate these small fragments. I'm just zooming in on the view, right? So now we want to eliminate these small masks from the window. For this, what can be done is we can do the operation of region grow. One, I would also want you to notice is we have cut off some section of the chin. So when we did take the mask, or when we did the crop mask, we might have cut off this much region from the mask, which is visible here, right? So we'll have to recreate this mask. So I'll recreate the green mask with the entire maxilla and mandible. What I've done is I've modified my green mask, and I am now going to calculate the green mask again. Right. I am now going to zoom in. So you can see the complete chin is now visible. Right. But what about these extra noise that we see? We want to remove the extra noise, right? So for that, we will have to use the operation called as region grow. So now for region grow, we'll have to select on which mask we want to perform. That is, we want to perform on green mask. Our target will be the new mask, right? We would want to keep the original mask as is and perform this on multiple layers, right? Like we want to perform this throughout the scan. So this we'll check, and 6 connectivity, right? So now I'm going to click on any point I would want to retain, and the connected pixels to that part will be retained, whereas any noise or any loose particles that we were seeing as a part of the mask shall be removed. So I'm clicking on the mandible. So what I want you to observe is in the sagittal view, all these green fragments that were not connected to the maxilla or mandible directly have been removed. So I'm going to now click OK. I am going to calculate the yellow mask now so that we understand the difference between the green and the yellow mask. I am going to just zoom in on the view. After we have zoomed in and you can see all the noise here, I'm going to hide my green masks and you can see one clear mask available, right? Now, my next step would be to isolate or to separate the mandible from the maxilla. For this, we shall use the operation of split mask, right? So again, I would want to perform the split mask on my yellow before, right? And before going ahead, I'll just rename my yellow mask. This is essential. You can rename by double clicking on the mask. I'm going to say maxilla and mandible, right? That's your maxilla and mandible. Now I am going to split the two components into your mandible and maxilla, right? I'm going to now start marking. I will just increase my diameter. I'm going to use first the sagittal view for marking. So I'll increase the screen to a full screen. So I'll start marking in my sagittal view. So since I had mentioned maxilla in pink, I'm going to mark maxilla. So if you see, the two borders overlap and it becomes very difficult to mark when the masks are on. So ideally, it's important that you close the mask on. That is what we prefer, so that you can identify the borders easily and you can mark easily. Now I'm going to just decrease my diameter so I can mark the smaller regions better without overlapping, right? I am now going to mark my mandible. Increase the dimensions. Then I'll again decrease. Just to 90. Right? You have to do this on multiple slices. So I'm going a few slices down and again marking. I am going to repeat the marking for my maxilla. What I want you to observe is, using the blue I can mark on the green, but I can't mark with the pink on blue. What this indicates is, of course you can deselect, you can erase. I will again erase this marking and I'll redo this first. Okay. So what I wanted to highlight is pink, blue is your primary mask and pink is your secondary mask. So anything that you draw in primary mask can be overlapped with the secondary mask, but the secondary mask cannot be overlapped on the primary mask, basically, right? So yeah, I have not marked the remaining region. So let me just mark the remaining region, right? Again, in few slices. Yeah, so coming back to this slice, I'll again do the markings. So once I've done marking in my sagittal view, I can now go to the any other view, say axial or coronal, right? When I zoom in on the coronal view, you can see the pink and the blue lines. These indicates what you have marked in the sagittal view already. So I'll similarly mark here. So I'll first zoom in on the tooth region because I would want my borders to be accurate. So yeah, this is one and this is another. So I've marked my mandible. Now I'll mark the maxilla. Right. I'll just increase the dia so I can completely mark this. Right. I will at the bottom region. I'll just decrease the size and the bottom region just mark it. Now we'll go to the condyles and demarcate at the condyle. So this is one section. This is the other section. I have to increase my dia. Just fit in, right? And so when I want to erase, you see I'm switching my mode from select to deselect and erasing that part. Now I'm going to go to maxilla, just increase my dia and done. Then I'm going to click OK. When I click OK, the software algorithm will run and we will receive two different. So now what you see here is that we have created two masks, maxilla and mandible. So we have segmented our maxilla and mandible successfully. What I'm now going to do is I'm just going to calculate the part for us so we can visualize our components. As you can see, both the mandible and maxilla have been created. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to hide. I'm going to first zoom in and then hide the yellow so we can clearly see our maxilla and mandible. Right. Now what we observe is a small section of the molar tooth of the mandible has come into the maxilla. Right. So what we now need to do is we need to remove this section and we want to add it to your maxilla, right? So what you can now do is you can again do split mask option, right? So let me show you. So if I were to point here, what we observe is a section of, and now let me zoom in. What was a section of this is overlapping with the a section of maxilla is visible in the mandible, right? So if my aim is that I just want to use I just want to use only the mandible, so I will not then instead of using split mask, what you can do is you can use the remove region option. So that is, you can either use the edit mask option or multi-slice edit option and remove these section away, right? You can remove this much section away. I've given a very zoomed in view. So for that, let me just duplicate this mask, right? So this is my maxilla main, right? Here what I'm doing is I'm just focusing on my sorry, this is my mandible main. Here my main focus is I just want to achieve a perfect mandible. So therein I do not have to care that whether my maxillary tooths are okay or not. I just have to focus on my mandible, right? So I'm just going to select on multi-slice edit, right? I've selected my selection as mandible. I have three options: add, remove, threshold. I'm going to select remove, right? Lasso is my option of drawing, and I'm just going to demarcate the area which I want to remove from this model, right? Again, I'm going to demarcate the tooth that I want to remove, right? I want to remove this. So if you see, I'm not drawing on every slice. It is subsequently doing that for me. Why? Because I have tick marked an option called as interpolate, auto interpolate. So what interpolation does is, in between slices, it will interpolate the data between the slices you have provided and create a tooth for you. So yes, this is it. Now I'm going to hit apply or OK. Right now I'm going to recalculate just my mandible main. Right, I have going to recalculate my mandible main. Clicked OK. You see, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide all the previous files that we have created, and here you have it, your perfect mandible. Right, now what if I wanted a perfect maxilla? Right, so would you sit and draw that? When suppose I had both the components of my maxilla and mandible ready, but like the first option that you think of is I'll draw the tooth that has been left out, right? But what you can actually do is you can use split mask function, right? Let me just zoom in here. Let me just zoom in here, right? I'm going to now use split mask function, and I'm going to show you how you can combine 2 or 3 different tools to achieve a faster result, right? Because drawing can be a little tedious at times. So I'm going to now do split mask, but only for the mandible. I'm going to zoom in on this view, reduce my dias, let my region A be maxilla tooth section, and let this be mandible revised, right? So I'm going to first my okay, again an important thing is to hide the mask so you can see the borders correctly. Now you can increase the dia, doesn't matter. Again, reduce dia, marking the tooth, right? So yes, I see the problem is here as well. I'm going to use these markings, and then here it is, and I'm just going to do this on one side, that is the sagittal, and click OK. So now I'll just have 2 sections of the mandible. One is with the maxilla part and the other will be with the mandible part, right? So now we have it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge this small section that we have received from our segmentation with the maxilla. How I'm going to do that? I'm going to use Boolean operations, right? Let my source mask be the maxilla. Let my other mask be the maxilla section. You see these two, I'm going to unite, right? And I'm going to write here complete maxilla. So instead of using multi-slice edit, we have found another option of first splitting it and then uniting it. So I'm just going to close this. Here a mask is ready. I'm going to just close everything else. So you can see a complete mask is ready. Now what I'm going to do is I'll just calculate that and show you. So now I'm calculating the complete maxilla mask, right? and we can see. So like I showed you, a different combination of tools here. There are other multiple combinations of tools that you can do. You can use morphology operations. You could use interpolate, 3D interpolate. So 3D interpolate works very similar to multi-slice edit. Like it is actually very same. There is no major difference. So you can use whatever you're comfortable with, right? This is a basic segmentation procedure that I've shown you, right? So let me just zoom in on this, and you can see we have all our tooth exactly where they should be, right? So we have completed our segmentation procedure. I hope you've understood the basic tools from this. And there are many other options as I suggested earlier. You have the smart fill, you have the smooth mask option, you have the region grow, you have dynamic region grow, right? You can choose or use whatever segmentation or whatever combination you're comfortable with, right? That's it for this tutorial.